Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I am Frozemelon, and today we'll be continue on with our ladder matches. Anyway, I kind of got fed up with a lot of the games, and just stuff wasn't working out. So I've decided to kind of go back to basics and come up with a random idea for a deck, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I've not done it just yet. I have created a warrior deck called Weapons Trade, which essentially works around things like the Auctioneer Jackson and the weapon, the blacksmithing hammer. And the idea of this is to be able to trade this so many times that I essentially have a weapon with an infinite amount of durability on it, and I can hit my opponent in the face. Do have the living weapon here. Again, this is mainly just the fact that I can kind of get some burst damage out of it and things like that as well. I am thinking of putting in, what was it, I think there was like a card that used to give charge back in the day, but I don't think it's actually available in this expansion, which is a bit disappointing. So I did double check that as well, just there to make sure that I wasn't kind of mishearing it, because this would have massive amount of burst potential. But instead I got things such as the Grommer's Hellscream, the Tidal Revenant as well, dealing 5 damage to my opponent's face, plus giving me the armor to survive those late game matches, and just generally a bunch of armor generation and card draw, and other things such as the Axe Berserker with the Honorable Kill on this, I can get to draw my weapon, or the Selfless Sidekick, I can just equip one of these from my deck straight away, which is kind of the idea of it overall. So that's kind of the idea of the deck. Let's see how it performs.
Garrosh versus Malfurion. I must protect the wild.
Okay.
Victory or death.
I'm never really going to have a turn 1 drop, so I can toss that, toss that, toss that, keep that, so we get it starting to ramp up as well. And we get to draw both my pirates, so I get to draw other pirates from my deck as well, so that's always quite nice. So yeah, this deck idea actually came about because I think there was one card that allowed you to draw 2 weapons from your deck. And now it's obviously, I think it's in Wild, which I was using quite a lot and playing quite a lot Wild back before I kind of started recording all these videos and things like that as well. And yeah, I was like, draw 2 cards and play 2 mana to redraw those 2 cards. So it's 4 mana, draw 2 cards, and also ramp these up. And yeah, like it wasn't unheard of to these to get to like 11 durability. So if that is something you want to see, let me know, because I am more than happy to bring that deck back if I'm able to and play it, because it just having like plus 10 extra durability on the weapon and the amount of armor that I could generate, especially with some of the cards we've got now, I was just hitting people repeatedly for turn after turn after turn. And yeah, Warrior had a couple of cards, what was it, a Dead Man's Hand, which meant that I could just keep adding those weapons back to my deck, or I could just keep adding cards back in my deck to make sure I never kind of lost through fatigue. So it was really interesting, and I absolutely loved the deck as a total, because it was just fun to play. But yeah, this is kind of that more control warrior type. I've been playing a lot of like against aggro decks recently, so I think this is just a lot better way of doing it. Plus the fact that I get the armor early in game against control decks means I can remove some of the late game threats really quickly. And I kept this here because I think giving a minion rush and giving the buff to the attack as well can be quite useful. And if I got a minion already on board, it does give me the chance to kind of buff them. The shield slams in here are to prop both the Grommash as well as work as removal. So that's kind of why they exist in the deck as well. So
Good luck, buddy.
In a box?
I'm going to draw the more pirates. And we draw that one there. So in this case I should just armor up.
Load it up.
So you can see it's not unheard of with this sort of warrior deck to kind of really kind of ramp up the armor. It's just I don't really have any of the cards I can use to kind of benefit from the armor. I do have that kind of one that allows me just to wipe a board, but it's mainly just there to kind of stave off aggro. Because I can play minions, gain armor at the same time, and either trade into my minions efficiently, and then hopefully I can gain the board back by the mid game with some of my sort of useful tools I have with this deck. But yeah, you never know, you never know. The other reason I kind of designed this deck is I hate Nathria, so I just want to have a lot more health to kind of survive that silly combo that everyone keeps playing. Because like those two cards in the mulligan, I'm probably guessing is one of is that card, which does frustrate me.
Time waits for no one.
Okay, by the looks of it, they're probably playing around a particular card. I don't know why they're not hitting one of my minions, if that's what they want to do. It's either that, or I'm literally playing against the bot again, which is never fun.
Two for one.
Good luck, buddy.
I can take the hit.
We'll gain my 5 armor, we'll gain then 3 more, we're at 15 armor. But yeah, I'm going to have lots of health with this sort of matchup. Now, there was the thought of me maybe putting this as a slightly different kind of deck as a whole. No, that's not really worth coining. That is worth playing, and buffing it to give it rush to make sure that dies is a good idea. And I've got lots of removal anyway. I just want to buff that to make sure that it kind of survives a lot more. I can play this next turn, gain 5 extra burst damage as well, so it's kind of the surprise factor of the deck as well, is just 5 burst damage out of nowhere without a taunt, and this card's also got 5 burst damage, so I can coin that out as well.
Two for one. Special.
And that's what we'll do here. You can see what I mean, like, I've given this, like, plus 2 more durability, so, yeah, it's kind of nice. And they play a big taunt, I can just get through the big taunt and then hit face again, so... It's why I like this deck. It kind of keeps the pressure up as well against control decks within reason. And they can still maintain some level of value. There are cards which I don't think are that great in the deck, like the Scrapsmith here. I don't think it's that great, but I thought I might need some like 3 drops where I can just kind of keep playing early taunts and stuff like that. But they might get taken out, as well as maybe like the shoulder checks as well. But I put in there because I won't be able to trade stuff out with. The conditionings are probably another ones I might get rid of. But they work really well with things like the Scrapsmith. So there's some variations on how I might change the deck. And maybe putting in things like the weapon draws or buffs minion, like the more weapon draw or weapon searches. Or cards that work with the weapons themselves, like another one of these for the South of the Sidekick. It's pretty good. Because we are warrior. Okay, my opponent forgot to actually play the game, so there we go. That is at least a win on the board with this deck. But yeah, now that I've kind of thought about it, I think there are some variations that I might end up making on this deck. I'll probably still have a little think about it. Maybe things like getting getting rid of the Living Blade is probably a good idea, although I kind of like the card because it is kind of like full burst damage. It comes out of nowhere sometimes as well. I've already got the weapons that I kind of want to be using, which is the blacksmithing hammer, which means things such as the conditioning aren't going to be that good as well. So yeah, there's some thoughts about it. But anyway, if you do enjoy the video, do leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.